let's talk about my latest episode of White Privilege, which happened today, Saturday, July 5th. My brother and I we went into San Francisco today. We went to the Metrion Theater. It's at like 4th and Mission. There's a new Spinal Tap movie coming out sometime this summer. In order to promote that, they re-released the first Spinal Tap movie in theaters for a limited run. And so I got us tickets to go see that because we'd never seen it in a theater before. And so Falcon picked me up. He came to my apartment, and then I sat in my passenger seat of my car and I let him drive my car into the city, because driving a car with Falcon as your passenger, I love my brother to death, but driving a car and having him as a passenger, not a super enjoyable experience. And he doesn't want to take his car into the city because, so I'm like, yeah, we can take my car, but you're driving. He's like, okay, great. And so I get to sit in the passenger side, which is a great song off of Wilco's first record. We drove into the city. We went and saw Spinal Tap, the first one, in a theater. Absolutely fucking epic and fantastic and amazing in every single way. It was so amazing to get to see that film in a theater. And like, it's an AMC theater. It was the Metrion, so we got the seats that like recline electronically. It was so amazing. It was so great. Anyway, the movie was over. We walked back to the car. We get in the car. Brother's driving. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. On the back lower left window of the rear window of my car, I'm a gun owner. I have 6 guns, 2 handguns, 2 shotguns, 2 rifles. One of the rifles that I bought is manufactured by a company named Daniel Defense. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that I get to own this. I have the civilian version of the Daniel Defense AR-15 that is issued to special forces in America's military forces. And that model, the Daniel Defense M4A1, is also extremely popular among America's law enforcement. And America's law enforcement also primarily on that weapon puts an optic on top of that called an Aimpoint Pro red dot optic. When I bought that gun and I bought that optic, each of those came with stickers. And so I put those 2 stickers in the lower left-hand rear window of my car. And I've made a couple of videos about how I've been pulled over on the 5 between San Francisco and Los Angeles by CHP, California Highway Patrol troopers. And there have been at least 2 times when I was going 90, 95 miles an hour and I got pulled over, clearly speeding and breaking the law. And cops pull me over. They see those stickers on the back of my window. They see me, Mr. White Privilege, and they come up to the window, and I always have my license, registration, proof of insurance. I'm like, here you go. And they're like, I saw your stickers. Do you have any weapons in the car today? I'm like, nope, today's not a range day. And they're like, all right. Never once have they asked me to open my vehicle so that they could check to make sure that I don't have any of my guns with me. They're like, all right, I'll be back in a minute. And they run my name and license and make sure I don't have any warrants. And then they come back up to the window. And we would end up having a 10 or 15-minute long conversation about guns and about what guns I have and what guns they have that, you know. And both of those times they let me off with a warning. I did not get a ticket. When I was going 25 to 30 miles an hour over the speed limit. That is white privilege. It is. So today, after the movie, my brother and I would get in the car. He's driving. And, you know, we're driving westbound on one of the side streets north of Market. We stopped at a stoplight at Powell, right where the cable cars are. And an SFPD SUV pulls up right next to us. And the cop is like, "Hey, man, what kind of Daniel Defense you got?" And I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "I saw your sticker, man. What kind of Daniel Defense you got?" I was like, "I got the M4A1. He's like, "Right on, man. I got the DDM4, I think it's V7, I think he said. I think it's a newer model." And we chit-chatted about guns. And we're sitting there as the light turns green. And we're still having a conversation. And we're chit-chatting. The light turns yellow. It turns red. And he's like, "Right on, man." He's like, "You can go ahead and go through the light." We're like, "Cool, thanks." And with two San Francisco police officers sitting next to me in their vehicle, my brother and I drove through a red light because they told us we could, because I had gun stickers on the back of my car and we had a conversation about guns. That is white privilege. It just is. I don't give a shit whether you think it is or not. It just is. Because those kinds of Daniel Defense firearms, I mean, I have the civilian version. The military version is obviously issued to special forces in the United States military. Lots of police departments across the country use that same weapon. That gun, the civilian version of that gun is, I don't know, $2,000, $2,500. It was $2,500 or $3,000 by the time I got the gun and put the optic on it. The optic was pricey as well. And, you know, so it's like those two officers pulling up next to me, right next to me, because I was in the passenger seat. And they pulled up on the passenger side, and they pulled up and saw me and saw my brother. And there was no inquiry. There was no nothing other than, "Hey, man, what kind of Daniel Defense you got?" And we had a nice chat about firearms. I didn't get pulled over. I was not required to get out of the vehicle, nor was my brother. No law enforcement guns were drawn. No backup was called. No shots were fired. Nobody got tased. None of those things happened. None of those things happened. Those things didn't happen. I mean, I'm advertising on the back of my car that I own a Daniel Defense assault rifle, effectively, because they don't make handguns. And the conversation was very pleasant and very cordial. It was, dare I say, jovial. There was mutual appreciation because I'm white. Because I'm white. So, white privilege is simply the color of my skin has never made my life more difficult. And there have been multiple times where the color of my skin has been quite beneficial when I am interacting one-on-one with law enforcement. That's white privilege. And I benefit from that every day.